Hey, how's it going? Welcome to expression lesson number 2 from the story Bouncing Back from Failure, where we see the first 9 expressions in our top 100 business expressions, the foundation for our course, Master Business Expression. And today the expression is make ends meet. If you don't print these, you can also put them on your phone. So that way you can take them with you wherever you go. And it's a convenient way to review and a fun and powerful way to review. So let's take a look at the expression from the story. Here we go. Remember the story of Walt Disney, right? It said, unfortunately, they weren't able to make ends meet, and within a few weeks, they went out of business. So this is the idea here. To learn like a native speaker, first you need to see the word in the story, in context. So we see make ends meet. First, unfortunately, it's a negative type of connotation and context. And then after they went out of business. What happens before you go out of business? Well, you don't have any money, right? And that's the idea. A word you already know. Connect this to survive. That's the idea of make ends meet, is that you can survive, to earn enough to continue operating. Here's the secret to these cards is the prototypical examples at the bottom. The first one here, he barely made ends meet working at Delta. If you look to the left, barely, it means just by a small amount, okay? It was really close. Barely, trouble, helped. These are all words that have a negative type of connotation. So you can see that's the idea of make ends meet. It's about survival, right? Look to the right of the word, working, living. So we talk about what we're doing, trying to make ends meet. We can talk about how we did it, right? He helped make ends meet by selling his car. So these are the most common combinations. The reason this is important to help you learn like a native speaker is it helps you get a sensation about what sounds right. That's the key to fluency, is what sounds right. These are the most common natural combinations. One more thing to help you learn like a native speaker is to feel like, yeah, this is a really common expression. Look, it's number 29 of 100. So again, it's in the top 1/3 of the top 100 business expressions. Super common. Another way you can learn like a native speaker is to use the images. Take a picture of this image in your mind, right? Remember this calculator, that you're doing a calculation of your finances to try to survive, to manage. Where is this from? Well, a long time ago, you would make measurements for your clothes. And so you take one end of the tape, and it needed to be long enough that you could make the two ends meet to get the measurement. And that's where it initially came from, but now became an analogy for the beginning and the end of the month or the year. Like, how much do you have at the beginning of the month? How much do you have at the end of the month? Are the two values the same, right? Do they meet? Do you have enough money to cover what you spent? So that's the idea. Now that you really understand profoundly the expression make ends meet, let's take a look at some examples. So these are the key examples from business relevant to you. Here's the first one from a talk show, 2015. They don't know what it's like to have trouble making ends meet, to be a family working for low wages. Wages is your salary, okay? Your monthly salary. Look at the word before making ends meet, right? Trouble, difficulty, that negative connotation. You're trying to survive. Here's from a news source, 2010. Government agencies are doing a lot of things to make ends meet. That's what the government's for, right? To balance the finances, to survive one year after the next. News 2005, Health South paid so much in taxes that it had to borrow money to make ends meet. You can see that this expression has a nice, colloquial, familiar sound to it. It's going to sound very confident and professional at the same time. And at the same time being kind of fun and familiar. So now that we've seen it in these key examples, remember, if you want to learn like a native speaker, you have to also absorb the examples in culture. So here we can see it in music.
Doing my share to make things right. I sometimes slumber on the streets, yeah. Trying my best to make ends meet.
So I want you to try to sing this with me. Come on. Trying my best to make ends meet. Try to really just put that little part of the song in your head. Trying my best to make ends meet. Ask my wife. I listened to this one time. I'm still singing it a month later. Okay? Very, very powerful to use music when you're learning languages. And by the way, it's so natural, right? Native speakers always listening to music. So it's coming into your head over and over again in a natural way. He says here, doing my share, my part, my responsibility, doing my share to make things right. I sometimes slumber, sleep on the streets, trying my best to make ends meet. Having this little phrase, trying my best to make ends meet, is a great phrase to have with this expression because it really communicates. I'm trying to make ends meet. I have to sleep on the streets to save money. So we see it in music, we see it in memes. I've given up on trying to make ends meet. I'd be happy if they just called each other once a month. Look where she's at, right? She's at the table, she's doing her finances. And basically she's comparing, okay? She's talking about the two ends, money in the beginning and money in the end of the month. She's talking about them like they are people, right? You want to get people to meet, right? Hey, nice to meet you. But it's hard to get people to meet. But it's easier to get them to call each other. So you will be satisfied with anything, even a phone call, when it's difficult to get two people to meet. So she's talking about the ends of the month, the beginning and the end, like they're people. So there we can see the joke. I've given up on trying to make ends meet. I'd be happy if they just called each other once a month. So we see it in music, memes, and of course in movies. This is the story. This is, let's see here, the story of Danny Lewin. And this is from No Better Time, the brief, remarkable life of Danny Lewin, told by Molly Knight Raskin, talks at Google.
Of a husband and father who spent years struggling to make ends meet and became a billionaire almost overnight. Of a theoretical mathematician.
If you want to learn more about Danny Lewin and see this video, make sure you look at the resources right here below the video, okay? If you want the music, if you want this video, so you can continue to watch it. Danny Lewin was one of the fathers of the internet, and he became a billionaire. But before that, he actually spent years struggling, which means fighting, struggling to make ends meet. So now you've seen make ends meet in so many contexts, and now you can really feel it, right? You understand it in a profound way, you've consumed it, you've internalized it, and you're starting to think like a native speaker. The secret is just to have constant contact, even for just 9 minutes every day, that you're absorbing the language, the strategic language, and in this case, the top 100 business expressions, the most high impact, relevant, frequent expressions that every business leader should know. So keep these with you, continue learning, and remember, if you want to speak like a native speaker, you want to think like a native speaker, you have to learn like a native speaker. Thanks for watching, and until next time.